Hello and welcome to another episode of the ZTV Sports Report, your home for all things Akron Zips athletics. On today's episode, we'll be continuing our coverage of our fall sports while also taking a look at the swimming and diving team. As always, I'm Zach Leininger.
And I'm Megan Williams.
And this is the ZTV Sports Report. Welcome back. We're starting things off today with the football team, so let's take it over to Megan and see how they did in their recent game against Bowling Green.
Hi everyone, it's Megan with the ZTV Sports Report, and today I will be talking about the football team. I will be covering their most recent game today, so let's see how they are doing. In their most recent game, the Zips were away taking on Bowling Green. Akron was not able to get the offense going this game and ended up losing. Bowling Green got on the board first this game, thanks to a 36-yard field goal by Alan Anya, with 9 minutes and 58 seconds left on the clock. The Zips offense was shut down by the Falcons until a 13-yard run was made by Lorenzo Lineguard to get us on top, 7-3 with only 1 minute and 11 seconds left in the first quarter. The second and third quarters are where Bowling Green started to separate themselves from the Zips, and by the end of the third, thanks to 4 touchdowns and 1 field goal, the Zips were down 34-7 going into the last 15 minutes. Adding insult to injury, the Zips defense gave up yet another touchdown, making the score 41-7 at the start of the fourth quarter. Our last touchdown came with 3 minutes left off of a 4-yard run by Drake Anderson. This was the final touchdown of the game, and the Zips went home with a 41-14 loss. Up next, the Zips will be playing Kent State at home, and we hope to see a lot of fans in attendance cheering us on to beat our rival. This has been Megan with the ZTV Sports Report. Go Zips!
Thank you, Megan. Well, Megan, this game against Bowling Green just marked the 6th straight loss for the Zips, and just looking at how things are going, it's just not going in the right direction. What were your thoughts on this Bowling Green game?
I mean, being a Zips fan, this game was really hard. Our offense and defense just could not seem to get going whatsoever. The offense only got 2 touchdowns the entire game, which you do not like to see. And the defense obviously gave up 41 points. So overall, our team is just really struggling this game.
Yeah, you're definitely right on that one. When you talking about the offense, one of the reasons I feel like the offense is struggling is just the inconsistent quarterback swap we're having here. Mm-hmm. It's like, Undercuffler was starting some games, Bullock was starting some, and it's just been bouncing between trying to find the right guy, the chemistry for the team.
Yeah.
And that's just definitely been a problem that's obviously, reflected in the stats. Undercuffler had 2 picks. I just feel like that's a thing of, not everyone being on the same page, because the more you're able to, the more you can work together consistently, you know where your receivers are going to be, the linemen know, the protections and whatnot, and it just seems that everything's not how the Zips want it to be. So I guess I'd hope that they can figure that out. Personally, I guess I'd hope they'd go. Undercuffler remains the guy, the starter, because Undercuffler I feel like gives the Zips the best opportunity to win. Because I feel like he reads the field the best. I feel like he makes the best decisions. Granted, he does have some blunders, where he doesn't make the best throws, but I still feel like he gives us the best opportunity. Defensively, you were saying, I think, they got a fumble recovery, 6 TFLs. They weren't really able to get any sacks, but that's kind of, that's obviously something you'd expect in this game. When your defense is giving up 41 points, that typically means your offense is off the field quick and your defense is constant in the field and they're just getting beat up.
Yeah.
And it's just hopefully, it's just not something you want to see. You need the offense to stay on the field, be more consistent, extend the drives to give that defense a little more of a break. And we can only hope that the team will start to figure this out with this last few weeks. Speaking of the next few weeks, we have Kent State coming up. That'll be a pretty exciting game. What are you looking forward to with the Kent State game?
I think the Kent State game is just going to give our team like a lot more competitive spirit because they're a rival, and obviously in all the rival games, no matter what the sport, our team is just always like so amped and so ready because you always want to beat your rival, and especially in this one, we want to get their wagon wheel back. We haven't had it since like 2017, so we really want that back. So I think that's going to help us be really competitive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen in all of them, the Kent and Akron games just always create a giant atmosphere. It's a competitive landscape there, back and forth. It's really gets really loud, and hopefully the team can feed off the energy. And I definitely agree with you. I hope we can get the wagon wheel back and bring it back where it belongs.
Yeah, for sure.
So with that, we're gonna wrap up today with our coverage of the football team, but we're gonna keep it here and take it over to the volleyball team. So let's take it over to Katie and see how they did in their recent game against Toledo.
What's up, everyone? It's Katie Bomber here. Today I will be covering everything Zips women's volleyball. The Lady Zips took on Toledo in a hard-fought 5-set game. On October 20th, the Zips fell short of Toledo 1-3 sets. Toledo then retook the win on October 21st by outplaying the Zips 2-3 sets. Here's how the second game of the series went. The Zips came out strong in the first set with a quick 4-0 lead and were able to hold this lead throughout the entire first set, winning the first set 25-21. Akron never trailed by more than 5 points and grabbed the advantage for good at 22-21 in a set that showcased 2 lead changes. Akron also supplemented their offense with 3 aces in the opening set. The Zips then lost set number 2, 25-20, evening the match at a set apiece. Toledo grabbed the advantage for good at 13-12 in a set that was tied up 7 times before the Rockets took over the lead. A third set loss put Akron behind 2-1. The Zips dropped back in fourth battle, losing 27-25 in a set that featured 11 lead changes and was tied up 14 times. Neither team had a lead of more than 3 points along the way. Akron broke their 2-set losing streak and forced a 5th set with a 25-22 victory in set number 4. The Zips survived a back-and-forth set to win that featured 2 lead changes and was tied 10 times. Neither team was able to grab a lead larger than 4 points along the way. After dropping sets 2 and 3, Akron won set 4, tying things up at 2-2 to force a 5th set, but couldn't complete the comeback after losing the set 17-15 and the match 3-2. The Zips dropped a tight 5th set, losing in a set that was tied 5 times and had 2 lead changes. The Zips dropped the set despite putting together 12 of their 15 points via the kill. This has been Katie with the ZTV Sports Report. Go Zips.
Thank you, Katie. Well, Megan, we knew coming into this series that it was going to be tough for the Zips with a good opponent in Toledo. What were your thoughts on how they played overall?
I mean, leading up to this game, we played Ball State twice and Buffalo once, and we lost all 3 of those games. So it's always hard to bring back the momentum and confidence in your team when you lose 3 games in a row. And coming into this Toledo match, we knew that Toledo was once again going to be another really tough opponent with how high they are in the MAC standings. To start off the conversation of this game, we have to talk about the first match for sure. We lost 3-1 this match, which is sad. They had 60 kills to our 51, and obviously you're not going to win if you have less kills than the other team. And we also had like 8 service errors this game, which is not what we like to see. And then the second game of the series, we were a little bit more competitive for sure. We only lost 3-2 this time, so we at least won one more set than we did the first game. But this time we had even more service errors with 14, which is crazy to me because normally we don't have like barely any, and that time we were in double digits. So it was hard to watch for sure. Yeah,
I mean, definitely. Like I mentioned there at the beginning, Toledo being a Toledo was they're a really good team. They're always pretty consistent, across any sport really. But, especially in this, Toledo I think was about 4th in the MAC.
Yeah.
So we're about 6th coming into it. I think 6 teams make it out to the MAC, so that this time of year becomes the matchups become even more important because you got to try to stay in that top 6 seeding to make it into the tournament.
Yeah.
But in Toledo made that super challenging for them. I know one in particular, Taylor Alt. Taylor Alt has been an absolute beast for the Toledo Rockets.
Yeah.
I believe I think it was in this series coming into it somewhere around the time of this. Alt set I think it was the all-time kill record for the Rockets. So I mean, she was just all over the floor, wreaking a lot of havoc on the Zips.
Yeah.
And I mean, as you mentioned, the first game, tough loss, 3-1.
Yeah.
Then in the second game, it seemed like the Zips kind of had some things figured out. I mean, they lost set 1 in the first game. In game 2, they won the first set, so it seemed like they were off to a good start. 25-20 in that second set of the second game, 27-25. So it seemed like after that first game, they kind of had a better idea of who Toledo was.
Yeah, for sure.
And it seemed like they were kind of getting more in the right spot. I think Tyson was kind of more aware of the switches he needed to make.
Yeah.
Just 3-1 loss in game 1, 3-2 loss in game 2. Just made it tough for the Zips. But I guess I just hope that they can find some more consistent play here because there's not a whole lot of games left in the season.
Yeah, no, there
isn't. And I think could be wrong, but I think this might have kicked them out of the 6th spot. I think they might have dropped to 7 after this.
Yeah, I think they did.
And I just know there's so much potential on this team, especially Faith Johnson.
Yeah.
Some of those other seniors. I know they don't want to go out like this, and I don't really expect them to.
Yeah. Our team, especially like you just mentioned, Faith Johnson, but Aliska Vidaskova, Vanessa Del Rio, like all of their starters are so solid. So I think going into the next games, the NIU game is away, and then the very next game after that is Western Michigan, which is also away. Western Michigan is the top of the MAC, so I think that game is definitely going to really, really challenge us. Yeah. And based on how we do in that game, that'll probably just determine the rest of our season.
Yeah. I mean, also you can't forget about the Bowling Green series coming up. Just after these tough losses, the Zips, it's an obvious thing to say, but they need to get back on the right foot.
Yeah, for sure.
So hopefully in this Bowling Green series, they can kind of right the ship and put themselves back in the top 6 for the tournament, as we make our way to the end of the season.
Yeah.
So from there, we're gonna wrap up our coverage of the volleyball team and take it into our first commercial break. But when we come back, we'll be jumping into our soccer teams. Stay tuned.
You're watching ZTV.
Welcome back. We're continuing today's show with our men's soccer team. So let's take it over to Davion and see how they fared in their recent matchup against Marquette.
What's up, Zip fans? Today I'll be giving you highlights on Akron Zip's men's soccer team game against the Marquette Golden Eagles, which ended in a 1-1 tie. Starting off, Juan Kamara, number 16, took a shot but was saved by the Golden Eagles goalie, Marburg. Shukaluk, who was number 9 of our Akron Zips, made the first goal of the game, putting them ahead of the Golden Eagles. In trying to protect the goal, Will Jackson, number 11 of our Akron Zips, tried to block the ball going into the goal. However, it ended up bouncing off his foot, going to the goal, and Marquette earned the point, tying them to our Akron Zips. The Golden Eagles tried to get another goal from our Zips, but Will Jackson was able to shoulder off the ball so goalie Mitch Butler could save it. Both teams played a good game with great effort. This is Davion Mosley giving you your sports report. Go Zips!
Thank you, Davion. Well, Megan, looking into this game, this is not the outcome we'd want to see. With this being the Zips' second to last game of the season and their senior day game, we would have hoped they would have came away with the win, but instead they ended in a tie. As we look into this game, there's a lot to be happy about. 11 minutes into the game, Jason Shukaluk, one of the big leaders of this team, got the Zips on the board. And from there, the Zips were able to, with that 1-0 lead, they were able to they had control of the game, they had all the momentum. They were able to get back on defense, which they love to do. They love to score early, get back on defense, and just run the clock out. Unfortunately, 5 minutes later, in the 16th minute, the Zips scored on themselves. The defender knocked it into the goal, which, that counts, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that made the game 1-0 with the Zips to 1-1, and that kept Marquette in the game.
Yeah.
And from there, it was just kind of back and forth. And unfortunately, the Zips, they didn't get what they wanted out of this game.
Yeah.
What'd you see from this game?
I mean, coming into this game, we've had a few ties, more ties than I thought we would have, but I think that just kind of comes down to us starting to play really, really difficult teams this late in the season. In this game, we had 20 shots in all, and only obviously one of them won the goal. And I think that really just comes down to their goalie having 7 saves, which is crazy. Like, that's amazing. Yeah. That's a really good stat for him to have, and that also just makes it make more sense with why we didn't score more. But yeah, overall, I expected. I kind of wanted us to win this game, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, as we talked, just a minute ago with volleyball, these games in the end of the season become even more important than any other game, because we're fighting for seeding here, and just the postseason games. The Zips, as you mentioned, 20 shots, 7 on goal. They were doing what they needed to do. Unfortunately, they kept Marquette in the game, and they kind of beat themselves in a way. But luckily, with that, the Zips, the record is still good enough. Their overall record, but also their conference record is still good enough that we're going to get to see, a little bit. I know we have the Butler game coming up, but I know regardless of that, we're still going to have some potential postseason games for this team. So that they gotta shake this one off. Get their head back on straight. And just try to forget about it, and not let it affect them going into the next game.
For sure.
Yeah. So with that, that'll be all for our men's soccer team today. We're gonna switch gears and take it over to our women's soccer team. So let's take it over to Matt, who covered their recent game against Miami.
What's good, everyone? Matt here, and I will be covering the women's soccer game against the Miami Redhawks, which unfortunately resulted in a final score of 2-0. This game also took place on Senior Day, so congratulations to the seniors. Let's take a look, shall we? The game started off with both teams stealing from the ball from one another until a penalty gave the Zips a free kick initiated by Sarah Nguyen. This game continued to become aggressive as Ella Hadley stole the ball in a matter of seconds just to be intercepted by the opposition. Between the teams, the Zips elegantly passed the ball to one another, and all was going well until the ball rolled out of bounds. 72 minutes in, the Redhawks scored a goal courtesy of Chamber Hayes and assistance of Julia Hoffman after a long 0-0 score. The second half began with a number of substitutions considering how fierce the competition was. Sarah Nguyen was set to make the next free kick. All was thought pretty well, but the Zips learned that they have met their match. At this point, things were not looking good for the Zips. They have yet to score a point, but they kept pushing through with a great team dynamic. Both teams had no problem keeping the ball up, but for the Zips, directing the ball to the net was a whole new challenge. 72 minutes in, the Redhawks scored yet another goal with the assistance of Kylie Beinecke. Unfortunately, the Zips were unable to cop the dub this time around, but hopefully, they'll come back on the games they have left this season. This is Matt with your ZTV Sports Report, and as always, go Zips.
Thank you, Matt. Well, Megan, this was just another game where the Zips got outplayed and things weren't going their way. Break down this game for me.
I mean, coming into this game, Miami had 7 wins on the season, so it was going to be really hard for us to beat them, considering we only had 3. Our team was just really struggling this game. We only had a total of 3 shots in all, with only 1 on goal, and the goalie saved it. Our goalie was doing a really good job this game, though. There was 15 shots by Miami, and she saved 6 of them, so that's pretty good. It was just overall really disappointing, especially since it was senior day, that they couldn't pull out a win. But the rest of the season, I hope that they'll do a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like you just mentioned. I feel for Sarah Bauer there. I mean, 6 saves on the day. She was doing everything she could.
Yeah.
But as we talked about, Sarah Bauer is only one player. She can only do so much.
Yeah.
And the Zips offense just has to do better.
Exactly.
They can't perform like this on a regular basis and expect Bauer to not get overrun, or they can't expect to have the games they want to have. I know, as I mentioned last episode with the Ball State game, they shot 20-some shots that game. It was their most of the season, and I know one of the things I brought up was just that the Zips offense finally seemed to be where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
Like they've been pretty good defensively in these past season or two, and the thing that they've kind of been lacking, I know they've had a younger team, but they've still they've been lacking the offensive production.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of thought that things were trending upward for the Zips. I thought we were going to see a consistent level of shots. I know I can't expect 20 a game, but I was expecting 10 more shots on goal. They just didn't seem to play really aggressive. I mean, Miami 4-6 in the conference, 7-10-1. I mean, I know they're a good team, and we've had our struggles, but they just have to be better. Is really what it comes down to. They let Miami overrun them this game, especially in the second half, because the first half ended 0-0, and the Zips seem to be kind of holding pace with this team. And though I can't say I was necessarily expecting a win, a tie would have been great for the Zips.
Yeah, for
just
sure.
Against a higher ranked team in this conference, a good Miami team, that tie would look a lot better than the loss.
Yeah.
In the 48th minute, they gave up a goal. The 72nd minute, they gave up a goal. And, the Zips just found themselves down. And unfortunately, with their last home game of the season, it might be the last game of the season, might be one more. All I know is that this is kind of the end of the road for the Zips team. We just have to regroup, and hopefully things can be a little better next year. Hopefully, I know recruiting-wise, a lot of the recruits this past season fell through for the Zips. They didn't really get who they wanted, and they were kind of just left to piece the team together.
Yeah.
So like I said, I just hope they can regroup and figure things out. Do you have anything else left to add on the women's soccer team?
Yeah, just along the lines of what you said, I hope to see them have a lot better of a season next year. That's all we can hope at this point.
Yeah, that's all we can hope for.
Yeah.
So from there, we're going to take it into our last commercial break. But when we come back, we'll be jumping in and wrapping up with our swimming and diving team. Stay tuned.
You're watching ZTV.
Welcome back. On October 13th, the Zips swimming and diving team hosted the Akron Zips Classic, welcoming in 4 other teams. Let's see how it went. What's going on, everybody? Zach Leininger here, and today I'll be covering the Zips swimming and diving team and seeing how they did in their recent invitational, the Akron Zips Classic. The Akron Zips Classic took place on October 13th and 14th, with the Zips welcoming in Bowling Green, Xavier, Youngstown State, and Denison. Akron got off to a hot start on day 1, as they ended the day up 114 points and set 3 new meet records in the process. Bella Noble, Paige Bush, and Laurel Smith got the Zips on the board, scoring points in the 1-meter dive, with Noble securing a second place finish.
The action then shifted to swimming, where the Zips did their most damage. Madeline Gattrall broke the 100-yard backstroke meet record in the first leg of the women's 400-yard medley, in which the Zips took first and second. Rebecca Reed followed up Gattrall's performance, taking the top spot in the 200-yard individual medley, setting another new meet record for the Zips. The Zips closed out the first day of the meet by taking 3 of the top 4 times in the women's 800-yard freestyle relay, with a team of Ella Couture, Veronica Gareca, Rebecca Reed, and Madeline Gattrall setting a new meet record by 43 hundredths of a second. Day 2 of the meet was more of the same, as the Zips continued their dominance. The morning session opened with the women's 200-yard freestyle relay, in which the Zips swept the event. Akron opened the second session of the day with a first and second place finish in the 200-yard medley relay. The team of Reed, Gareca, Rachel Sabotin, and Abby Daniel closed out the Akron Zips Classic with a win for the Zips in the 400-yard freestyle relay. Overall, Akron tallied 1,271 points, beating the second place team by nearly 400 points. With this win, the swimming and diving team set the tone for what looks to be another exciting season. This has been Zach Leininger with the ZTV Sports Report, and as always, go Zips!
Well, Megan, this Zips swimming and diving team they're pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Just this meet alone, they absolutely blew the competition out of the water, and they came away with 3 new meet records. How did you feel about their performance?
I mean, our swimming and diving team has won 9 out of the last 10 MAC championships, so I'm not shocked that they beat everybody here. They've just been good for a really long time, and I think that just comes down to everybody in the area of Akron knows how good our team is, so like they want to come here, so it makes recruiting really easily. But for this Invitational specifically, at the end of the first day, we were beating everybody with like almost 100 points above the second place person.
Right.
And then the second day, we ended with a win of over like 400 points above the second place person. Mm-hmm. So we were just dominating everybody in this meet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this swimming and diving team, just with the positioning of the other big sports and stuff, they don't get the recognition they deserve. Mm-mm. And this, to be honest, is one of the best sports we have here at Akron.
Yeah.
And just what you mentioned with recruiting, I know Madeline Gattrall, she's a Canadian. Mm-hmm. Veronica Gareca, she's from Germany. A lot of European swimmers. They seem to have found the recipe, you could call it, for success.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, 9 of the last 10 MAC championships. This team is stacked across the board. I mean, obviously dominating the team. Their relays were all over the place. Their diving, they were just the top of every category, mm-hmm. leading every race. I mean, I know in some of these races, the girls, they were. They swept like the top 5 spots in a bunch of the races. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's pure dominance all around. Yeah. And just this little taste of swimming and diving team. I haven't been much in swimming myself. I'm obviously definitely going to look more into this, and I can't wait to see where this team goes. From here. Any closing thoughts on the swimming diving team? I
mean, just exactly what you said. They're just so good that it's going to be really exciting to see what they do the rest of the season.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that'll about do it for another episode of the ZTV Sports Report. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at ZTV Sports and on YouTube at ZTV Sports Report. As always, I'm Zach Leininger.
And I'm Megan Williams.
Thank you for watching, and go Zips.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. Do you want to gain experience in video production, professional social media, or working with real clients? Visit the UA School of Communications online or follow us on social media to learn more. ZTV, make media, make a difference.